Hey everybody, this is Trey Henderson. I'm your events coordinator and director of Next Gen with the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce. Today we are having a chamber talk with Skyla from the Fredericksburg Nationals. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Hey Skyla, how's it going?
Hey Trey, thanks for having me.
Dude, we're pumped to have you here. We've been talking about having a podcast with Skyla ever since she found out we had a podcast.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're super pumped. So let's quickly introduce you for everybody to make sure they know who you are. Skyla, where do you work? What do you do?
So I am the special events director for the Fredericksburg Nationals, our local minor league baseball team, which is a ton of fun.
That's awesome. So special events. I've been doing special events for a while too. We have like similar job descriptions, but yours is with the baseball stadium. This might be a weird question, but what type of events do y'all get at the stadium besides baseball?
Oh my goodness, we do a little bit of everything. So obviously our primary function is baseball, but contrary to popular belief, we do a little bit of everything. We have things like proms, quinceañeras, weddings, but we also do smaller events like meetings, trainings. I've even done some pretty obscure ones. The obscure ones are actually my favorite. Like we did a UMW esports tournament, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
I felt like I was really with my people with that one.
Oh, do you game?
Maybe a little bit. I'm not
Okay.
a gamer, but I do love to game, and
Okay.
it felt right. So
It felt right. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, the stadium's massive outside of really big games and like the home run derby y'all did. What are the biggest events y'all get there?
So there's a few per year that we do, whether they're put on by us or an outside planning person or committee. We do events like Fall Fest, and that's like trick-or-treating at the stadium. We do Patriotic Palooza for 4th of July. We also do a big Spring Fest for Easter. But we do have some other really big events at the stadium, my favorite one being Fredtoberfest.
Yeah.
So that's our local like beer fest that we have at the stadium, but we also have Juneteenth. And I'm really excited for this year. We're actually going to be doing a Hispanic Heritage event for the first time, too. So lots of new things going on and lots of things that the public can be a part of, which is really exciting.
Yeah. Right before, like, the 3 weeks leading up to something like Fredtoberfest, how many emails do you think you get?
That's a great question. A lot.
Yeah.
I don't think I can put a number to it because it's different for everyone, but I prefer doing like an in-person meeting than emails.
Yeah.
But of course, no one can live without emails. So there's definitely a lot of moving pieces going on for every event, no matter how big or how small. And I am like the sole contact person for everything, including catering. So there's a lot of moving pieces going on, and I have an awesome team of operations and food and beverage. Shout out to my people. They help me every day in everything that I do, and I couldn't do it without them. So
Jane and Brad?
Jane and Brad on my food and beverage team, and Alex and Elliot on my operations team. I don't know what I'd do without them, so shout out to them.
Yeah, the one time I've DJ'd a gig with the I've DJ'd there many times, but there's one that comes to mind. It was a holiday party, and I saw Big Alex just dragging these tables off of himself. He's the gentle giant, but he was lifting these tables like they were just pieces of paper. It was awesome.
Yeah, whenever people ask me what I do when I work in events, I literally just tell them that I pick things up and put them down. Like, I swear that is 90% of my job is picking things up and putting them down where they're supposed to go for the next thing. So
Yeah, working with events, and I found too, especially with in my realm of nonprofit, every job is yours. Like, if you're at an event and something needs to happen, like, it doesn't say in your job description, but someone needs to go fill up those waters.
yeah, no, we say in baseball, we like to say all other duties as assigned. And that can mean literally anything. Like one day we were picking up hay on the field on opening day.
I heard
2 years
about
ago.
that.
So that's one of my favorite all other duties as assigned. But I mean, it varies to literally anything you can imagine. I'll write a book one day of all the things I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, in a way, it reminds me of baseball because everyone in the outfield, everyone in the infield has to, I don't know the terminology, but everyone, if a ball's coming at you, you got to catch, you got to get them out, you got to make a play. And you don't just say, well, that was the outfield's job. You know, if something horrible goes wrong, like, everyone's working together.
Yeah,
it's a team.
I think that's so important. And I try to praise my team every time that I can, because even though they're not my direct reports or anything, but I literally cannot do my everyday job without them. So I shout out and try to appreciate them whenever I can.
Well, and obviously your leadership reflects on that too, so good job.
Thanks.
Well, Skyla, I pulled up your bio here. I want to hear all about you and where you've come from. I first ask, how did you find yourself like all the way from Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
To one Fredericksburg and then the Nats.
Yeah, so I'm from this small town in Massachusetts called Gardner. It's the Chair City capital. Shout out. I went to UMass Amherst, and while I was there, I primarily went there for marching band. I want to be very upfront about that. I didn't go for academics. I went primarily for marching band.
What instrument?
I was in the color guard, so I did the flags.
Flags.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that was the bit. And while I was there in marching band, I actually met who was going to be my future husband. And he graduated before I did. I graduated a little bit early from college, but he graduated before still. When he graduated, he ended up going into the Marine Corps to be in the Marine Corps band. And luckily, we got stationed up in Quantico. So I say up in Quantico because that is the closest that we could be to family.
Right.
So we were super happy to be stationed here, and I'm super grateful for that. But it also led us to the Fredericksburg Nationals too. So I moved back down here after I graduated. I've had a bunch of different jobs since then. I graduated with a degree in hospitality, but I also dabbled in sports management. So the people in sports management were a little bit too competitive for me.
Okay.
I wasn't vibing with it. I am not by choice a customer service person. I don't think that customer service is something that people choose. It chooses you.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's a very personality type of industry, and it's also like you have to have a certain type of shield in front of you to be able to work in customer service or retail. And it's not easy. People don't talk about that enough.
You have to have it. No, you're right. You need to have a ton of composure.
Yes. A ton of composure, a ton of patience, a ton of service to give. And if you don't have that service to give to people, then, it makes it a lot more difficult.
So you said it's sports management. You dabbled in there for a bit, but you majored in hospitality.
Right. So I ended up going with hospitality because it was more my personality. But when I graduated, I said I wanted to do hospitality in sports because I know I still loved
that's
sports.
The same. How's that work? Yeah.
Right. I still loved sports and I wanted to be a part of it in some fashion. So when I graduated, I ended up working at Geico.
Okay. The Geico here in Fredericksburg?
The Geico here in Fredericksburg,
okay.
yeah. I was a part of their management development program. And even though insurance wasn't for me, I learned so many, I cannot praise them enough, truthfully, for the leadership program that they have going on at Geico, because they really do train you. They train you to be the best of the best leader. They teach you all of these attributes and stuff that you just don't learn in college. So I learned a lot of my leadership attributes. I think a lot of them come naturally, but I learned a lot of my leadership attributes through Geico, and I learned really how to coach a team then too. Even though I don't have a team anymore, I really do find that the training that I got from there is valuable in my day-to-day life.
Well, you don't necessarily have a team now, but you definitely have to work adjacently with a ton of people at the Nats.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think that just the knowledge that I got from there is very valuable just in general. And it's something that I'll never forget either. So even though insurance wasn't for me, I ended up working, I got in a car accident and got injured for a little while after that. And then I ended up going back into the brewery business. I worked at a brewery up in Massachusetts for a long time too. I loved working at breweries. It's just, I love working for small businesses. I'm not a corporate girly. This is for everyone listening. I'm not a corporate girly.
Small business.
I'm sorry to disappoint. I'm not a corporate girly. I am so here for the businesses that are family owned. And I think it's so much more special. And I feel it's so much more motivating to work for and work towards when you have a family and the owners and the base and the value and the core beliefs of these people that you're working for and the culture. I think for me, it's just so much more. It's easier for me to get up and go to work every day when I know those people and I know those values. Yeah. But I went back into the brewery business for a little while, and then we were actually the official beer of the Fred Nats. So shout out Six Bears and a Goat.
Yes.
I love them and all my people there. They're the ones that put on Fredtoberfest every year too. So I'm still very lucky to be able to work with them at the Fredericksburg Nationals. And I learned a lot of things there too that I brought with me to the table at the Fredericksburg Nationals too. So
Yeah,
It's a weird journey. Very weird.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I really wanted to ask you, because it's cool how you got all the way here.
Yeah.
We had an event at Six Bears and a Goat, and everyone that worked there wanted to come in. I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? They came in, and I thought they were wanting to talk to us, and they just wanted Skyla. They just wanted to talk to us. I get Skyla here.
That's my people. People. I miss them.
They clearly missed you. When you started at Six Bears, were you a manager, right?
No, I was coming off of an injury from my car accident, so I actually started as a part-time server, I think, or bartender. But within the first 3-4 months there, I ended up being a manager. I remember the owner. He asked me, he's like, why didn't you apply for the manager position? I was like, you didn't have it available. I don't know.
Well, I love how you rose up that quick. They really realized, like,
it's kind of funny. My injuries, and a lot of people don't talk about this enough either. My injuries really forced me to slow down in a way that I didn't know I needed to, but also in a way that I didn't know how to either.
Yeah. Okay.
Like working through anyone that has an injury or a chronic illness or something like that, it's a process that you have to work through, and that you have to kind of stop and slow down, and you're forced to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know what to do when you're forced to sit still.
Right. Absolutely.
I know you're probably one of those people, because people that work in events can't sit still. We're all type A, kind of organized, on the go all the time people, and having to be forced to sit down and I don't know, slow down. It's not something that it is hard. It really is. And my brain didn't compute for a while. So I started as a part-time server there, but then quickly I worked up, even though I probably shouldn't have done it that fast. But
Yeah. Well, it worked. Look at you now. But
yeah.
I totally get it. When you're coming off those injuries, I've never had anything like that, but similar, like one of my best friends at the time, he had torn ACL and he was very active, has a dog that's very active. His job didn't necessarily need it, but no matter what your job is, he still had to slow down. But I had to walk his dog every day because he couldn't. And I loved the dog, so this was my favorite thing to do. And this was me helping, him.
Right.
But so I just walk his dog every day, and I could just see him going crazy because he desperately wanted to come on the walks with us. But the dog was well behaved, but he couldn't really walk with him for the first month.
Yeah.
So I've seen that struggle, because you could clearly see the toll was going on him, and things at work were slowing down, because he had a sales-based job and he couldn't get out and have as much energy because he's just sitting there. He had a lot of time for phone calls, but
100%. And shout out to my therapist. If it wasn't for my therapist while I was injured and while I was working through all that, I don't know what I would have done.
You did some good PT, you're saying?
No,
mental therapist. Okay.
Mental therapist. Okay. My mental therapist, I literally don't know what I would have done without her. So shout out to her. She's the best. And I still see her now to this day. And I don't know. I wish that I went to therapy earlier. If you're listening to this, go to therapy.
No, it's good for everyone.
It's good for everyone. And I wish that someone told me to go sooner.
Absolutely. We're pro mental health here. We just had an event with Fajas, and
yes,
they have great programs and connections for that.
All about the mental health. But
yeah, we're pro that here.
I always said I wanted to do events or hospitality in the sports world. So my husband came back from work one day. He also works for the Fredericksburg Nationals. Was like, hey, we have this position open. You should apply for it. And I said, say less.
Yeah.
So now here we are. It's crazy.
Right on. And you got a promotion within the Nats already, right?
Yeah. I was recently in October promoted to director of the department, which we hadn't had one before. So that was pretty exciting. It's cool to be able to, curate things and build the foundation for what this department is, because the Fredericksburg Nationals, just a small backtrack, the Fredericksburg Nationals came from the Potomac, Woodbridge from Potomac Nationals. They had a very small baseball stadium up there. They didn't have any places to rent out. So when they built the ballpark here in Fredericksburg, they had no idea that events would even be a thing.
Really?
It was a complete afterthought.
Seriously?
Yeah. So they built the baseball stadium. We were even having games already, and people were like, "Oh, this is kind of a nice space. Should we rent this out?" And so then came the events team. So
seriously, is that not normal for sports teams to have an event and everything there, or
it is? It's very normal if you have the facility for it, but
Gotcha.
They just didn't previously have the facility for it. So it was kind of an afterthought. But since then, we're doing over 200 events at the stadium every year.
God.
Yeah, we're a little busy. So it's a very good supplemental piece of income, but also just I basically run my own little business inside of the stadium.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I have nothing to do with baseball. I mean, I love to like give my ideas and like help out where I can, but I have literally nothing to do with baseball. So it's kind of cool to like be able to run. Our owner always says I'm the CEO of my own company and I can do whatever I want. So
yeah,
shout out Seth, thank you.
Right on. I love that. I mean, you really are. I mean, you're so separate from, athletics and other parts of the stadium that you really are.
Yeah.
That's really, really, really cool. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's just something that never even thought was going to exist. And now people are still just figuring out that we're here. So business is growing exponentially every year. So it's a pretty exciting thing to be a part of and build the foundation of.
Can you handle more than 200 events?
I don't know.
We'll see.
You hear my nervous laughter?
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm sure they're super happy with that, and you provided a ton of growth for them.
Yeah.
Tons. Like I said, I've worked there with Upchurch doing DJ gigs and trivia, and it's always a really, really, really great time.
We have fun.
Yeah.
I will say. We have a lot of fun.
I love the Nat staff. They're always just good morale. Everyone's pumped.
We try.
We try. Yeah, Skyla volunteers her time as well to help with the trivia nights. It's not her thing, but she loves it. She's there and essentially saved trivia at the ballpark. So
I love it.
So if you play trivia at the ballpark, you really shouldn't be thanking me. Thank her. She's the one that
oh my goodness.
that puts it all together. She rolls the TV down, brought me a veggie burger. It was the best.
I barely do anything, but I appreciate the praise.
But you're not even supposed to be there. She's just doing it out of goodwill.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
Because the trivia is not part of special events; it's part of in-game entertainment.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, essentially. But I still like I don't like to miss out on things.
Well, at some point, in-game entertainment switched over to you.
Yeah,
I don't know if Robbie threw it to you or Adam or
I think he just thinks I'm good with technical things.
It might have been me.
I think know.
I think about how it went down. I was talking to Robbie, and I was like, I want to work with Skyla, and he's like, okay. that might have.
So thanks a lot. That's why I'm there.
I might have voluntold you. I might have, or maybe it was Adam, and then he says, "Can you?" And then Skyla instead. Who knows?
Hey, whatever.
We'll have to go back, but it's in writing now in the contract.
We need one of those instant replay things.
We do have a contract. Your name's not on there, but it does say someone from events has to help. So that's you.
God.
That's you.
You might as well just put my name in. I'm the only one.
Yeah, right. So this is just for my own entertainment here. You went to UMass in Amherst in 2018. My sister graduated in 2016. She was in the grad school though.
Was she in marching band?
She was not in marching band. She was
yeah.
I doubt you ran paths with her because the grad school's pretty different.
Oh,
right?
Very different. Very. They don't call it ZoomAss for nothing.
What's that?
They call it ZoomAss. You haven't heard that?
No. Does it just mean like it's crazy?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Gotcha. Good basketball, right?
We used to be.
Used to be once upon a time.
Yeah, we have good hockey as of more recently.
Cool. Well, I love Amherst. When I visited, I was like, it's like this beautiful little city with like it reminded me of Charlottesville a lot.
It reminds me of Fredericksburg. Seriously,
yeah.
Like Amherst has my heart completely. But when I moved down to Fredericksburg and I went through downtown Fredericksburg for the first time, I was like, whoa, this is very like Amherst vibes, which I love because it's just like Amherst but warmer.
It is warm. No snow.
I love not
having
a
year.
Snow
we get 2 snows a year.
Yeah, which I can tolerate. And
yeah.
when it snows down here, everything it like shuts down.
Yes.
When that happens in Massachusetts, you still have to go to school in like 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, I do love that. Snow days are the best here.
Yeah.
We love because snow up there just means cold. Here it means I can stay. I don't have to go to work.
Yeah, it's a whole day endeavor up there because you got to shovel your whole car out and take 5 years to get to work. So it's a whole thing, but.
So we're really similar to Amherst, you think? I thought Amherst would be like a lot younger and bigger. I went when I was like 18, so my perceptions were different.
Yeah, it is younger, but it also does have a big like retired community.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of like professors too. So like kind of like the college town kind of bit, like Fredericksburg.
Now they're not mountains near there though, right?
Yes and
not
no.
Not really. Hills.
I mean, not like the Shenandoah Mountains.
Okay. So not quite a hiking destination.
No.
So Skyla, let's talk next gen. The reason we even have Skyla on today from the get-go, from the very beginning, is she is one of our advisors for the Next Gen Advisory Council. She comes in as the events specialist, that role. Obviously, you all have heard that's her background, that's her forte, that's her skills. She's incredible at it. Next Gen is our Young Professionals program. If you can't tell by Skyla's amazing, high-fidelity young voice, she is Next Gen. She's one of us. She is the best, and she's been helping us with that. What I wanted to ask Skyla here is, like, why did you want to help join and guide and lead in Next Gen?
Yeah, so Next Gen is pretty near and dear to my heart because I come from a very small town in a town that is not necessarily wealthy. I come from not the best of times. I turned my situation around and, made everything for myself from the day I got my first job when I was probably 13 or 14. So from that day on, it's a lot of what I do and why I do it is so I can build things better for whoever comes after me. Whether that be whoever takes my position next or my kids or my friends or my family or whatever it may be, I just want to make things better for the next person. And when you brought up Next Gen, and you were so lovely to think of me for it, so thanks, by the way.
Of course.
I love the idea of it because it really is like fostering and nurturing the next generation of business people and of, role models in our community. And I think it says something to be able to, especially in such difficult times that we've had recently, like with COVID and everything that we've been through, is a whole generation of kids, seriously, like of kids that are missing those core years. Like no matter who it is, we all miss different different parts of our lives, right? But there are those kids and those young adults that missed out on that experience of when you had your first networking event or when you had your, you're starting to meet business people and you're having your first job, but you started your first job and it's all remote. Yeah. And now all these people are going back to work and they're trying to figure life out and they have to interact with people. Like, and it's terrifying. It's really,
definitely different.
It's very different. And I am so lucky to have had that experience before COVID. So I had that experience, but I mean, for me, I would love to just be a part of helping those people out that did miss out on those experiences and to help them, grow and reach their goals and whatever it may be for them to be successful.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we were just looking at the data. So I have these numbers memorized still. In our region, which is Fredericksburg, King George, Caroline, Spotsy, and Stafford, we have 100,000 people from the ages 25 to 44. And from 24 and under, it's 125,000. So we have a larger population that's younger and all these people about to join our workforce. We want them to stick around this area. A lot of these, like you said, these kids did not get the same education and socializing that we had. They're coming from their graduation was canceled, or I believe the seniors that graduated in 2021 and 2022 and such, they're going to be entering the workforce depending on college and such now, and it's probably going to be a rough transition. Rougher than most. Like I come from an education background, and seeing the students coming back from COVID, everything was different. Ages, I swear, just meant they were just different. Like a sixth grader who should be able to do this and that was not able to, or could do other things much better, like on their computer, but not quite as well socializing in person. It was just, everything's different. And, we really want to, with Next Gen, be a part of transitioning back with these, young professionals like us, but also be a landing ground too for people who, move to this area. Fredericksburg does have an inbound of people moving here. We do have a lot moving out, unfortunately, but we're here to change that and hope that we can, keep people to stick around and keep your young talent here.
I can imagine, I can only imagine the anxieties and the fears of these young professionals that are trying to go back to a world that they never actually lived in. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I cannot imagine. I mean, maybe most of it is kind of our fault for going so fast to going back to what it once was, and we all have our own traumas, no matter how old you are, whether you're older, younger, middle-aged, we all had trauma from COVID. And even if it was just staying cooped up in your house, like that, we don't talk about the traumas of COVID at all or enough. So I can't imagine for these people, the next and youngest generation, to, be so ambitious to take over the world when it's probably even just scary for them to start networking. So I think that was what really inspired me to become a part of Next Gen, was because I want to be able to help those people get over those fears and, kind of introduce something that's so scary in not such a scary way, if that makes sense.
No, totally. I get that's a very good angle to go at it from. Moving into a new work environment, regardless of your past, is always different. But looking at it, I mean, it's so crazy to think, like, just 4 years ago, like, everything shut down, and, for the rest of our lives, we're going to be thinking about that. And, I don't know, it's a piece of history we lived through, and there has to be massive effects that we're still discovering. And every age group missed out on a certain part of development because of that, and we're seeing that all into the workforce now. Because these are the years where we see these people that were supposed to be educating, and a lot of education was still happening, but it was different. So we're seeing these people that are in the workforce, and they may be succeeding, they may not, but we're here to help them either way.
Yeah, I think it's hard to hold all of those people to the same expectations and standards as everyone else because they missed out on it. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah,
like, one day we'll be like, oh, back in my days, remember when we lived through that? And now here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we are. I mean, even what we're doing right now, like, something's changed. Like, podcasts went up by like 300%.
Yeah.
Whether it's listeners, producers, people creating podcasts, massive growth. Zoom calls. Our Next Gen, we meet through Zoom. We'll do some in-persons every so often, but we meet through Zoom still. Before COVID, that was not necessarily unheard of. People had video chats. Somehow Skype dropped the ball, and now it's Zoom.
Yeah, what happened to Skype? Skype, where you at?
Yeah, they really messed that up. They had the brand recognition, and it was just gone over all of a sudden.
Wow, I actually completely forgot about Skype until you just said that.
Yeah, right? Yeah, they could have 100%, like, they had the technology, but for whatever reason, when everyone went to virtual meetings, they didn't mention
That'd
Skype.
be a good case study.
Yeah.
Someone look that up for us.
Yes, absolutely. There has to be some sort of study about the failure of Skype to utilize that market. But yeah, so many things have changed since then. And some are still around. Like, like I said, we're on the podcast now, and that's somewhat because of COVID. We originally bought our podcast equipment for recording podcasts to have extra events and content and such when we couldn't meet in person. Let's move forward a bit and talk about some things we're doing with Next Gen. So like I said, Skyla works on our advisory council as our events advisor. So let's move on and talk about events and Next Gen and such. So like I said, Skyla is on our advisory council, and her specialization is events, as you see in her past. So we're going to talk about some things that we have on our minds that we want to accomplish this year in our events. So first off, we have our 505s. Skyla came up with this term. It is our after hours, after work hours, 5 to 7 o'clock, 5:05, 7 o'clock, social network, where we meet around downtown, maybe places around the counties and such too. And we just network, we have a drink, we get to know each other. Skyla was a big part of this and helping create it. Skyla, what do you like about 505s? How did you come up with it?
I love the name. It just sounds so exclusive.
Yeah, right?
I can't take full credit. I think I ChatGPT'd it.
Oh no.
I am
thought it was your...
I know. I'm part of that group that's starting to rely on ChatGPT because my brain is just mush most of the time.
Sure.
So,
it's so helpful.
That's just how it goes these days.
Well, we love it.
I love the 505. It sounds like an exclusive group, but really it's not an exclusive group. It's just a group of young professionals getting together over a drink, if you like, or if you so choose, water, Pepsi, beer, whatever. And it was so lovely, especially the last one. I was able to reconnect with someone that is in a totally different position than when I met them in. And it was just totally by surprise too. It was kind of nice, but also just to meet other people in our community that are also doing such important things. And it's a great opportunity to, especially I don't work downtown, but there is a great network of people that work downtown or are downtown all the time. I love to go downtown and meet people because I'm just not there.
Yeah.
So it was a great meeting spot, truthfully, and I think that the groups and the people that you'll meet through 505 is people that, you know, could help you in a bind, or just people that you can talk to when
Mhm.
you're having a rough day. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that what you finished with. Like, we do want to emphasize that 505, like, you can totally make friends here. Part of Next Gen is young professionals. Like, we're all young. Like, when I moved here, I didn't have friends here. I didn't have other young professionals besides
Same.
my immediate coworkers.
Yeah.
And since I moved in as a teacher, I didn't get to meet them immediately. It was the summer and they weren't in class yet. So if I could come out to an event and know automatically there's all these people who want to socialize.
Right.
At college, at ZooMass, you say, there's everyone's going around socializing, having a good time, wants to make friends. In the real world, it's not necessarily like that. So where do you go to a neutral ground where you can meet people, especially like-minded? You said you had met someone in different industries. Like, yeah, they might be like in a nonprofit or a law firm or a bank or whatever it may be, but you're still at that point where you're both professionals. I don't know. It's a similar mindset, and of leaders too, I would even say. It's a similar mindset and a good place to meet new people. And like you said, if you're in a bind, like you maybe, I don't know, it's a good neutral ground to meet certain industries too.
Yeah, and I think it's so funny because we didn't even set the precedence for this, but it's like the people that are coming to these events are just kind of coming to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's the hardest thing about networking is starting the conversation.
Yeah.
And if you're just starting the conversation as in you're just like trying to be friends with someone, or if you're just trying to like break the ice and get to know them, I think that's like the easiest way to start networking.
Yeah.
And that's like what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? We're trying to teach these people that haven't done this before or aren't familiar with it or are just new at it and older and new at it, no matter what you are. I think that's the best way to do it. And we kind of did that without even saying that we were going to do that.
Without even trying
so I'm
too.
loving it.
Yeah, right. That's what I've loved about these events. I get there and like it just works.
Yeah.
Because we were wondering, like, do we need to have an icebreaker? Do we need to have a game to get people engaging?
It was perfect.
Yeah, and everyone is everyone's friend. It was great.
No, everyone caught the vibes. I'm going to sound young for a second.
There you go. Do it. That's next gen.
I'm trying to be young. I'm not actually young. I'm not with the kids. Everyone caught the vibes really fast and kind of like, you know, I don't know. It was just perfect, I think, in the last one. And I think that for the future ones too, I think we've already set the I don't know, what's the word?
Precedence?
Yeah, I guess, for what we're trying to do.
Precedent?
So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And our last one was huge. We had 27 people in and out. We were at Rebellion.
Let's go.
Yeah, and part of the reason they may have come, I don't know, I think I would have come for this, was because we had a special prize. What was it, Skyla?
It was Fred Nats tickets.
Yes, for any day of the week besides July 4th. I loved that, so thank you. That was because of Skyla, y'all. So huge. We love that.
Yeah, it's easy stuff. We love to do giveaways like that to try and get people out for things. So
yeah, absolutely. And then you get to go to another super sweet venue to socialize at the Fred Nat Stadium and go to one of their games. They're such a blast. They're really fun.
We try.
Yeah, I've been to a few different minor league teams and major league teams. I love the Fred Nats. They're so much more fun than a couple others. I don't want to like throw any other teams under the bus.
Right.
But I will say, like, within driving of 3 hours from here, if I have to choose one baseball team, I'm going to the Fred Nats. So
wow, that's really nice.
No, absolutely.
I mean, we try to put on a show, and I think that's what sets us apart from the other teams. We truly, like, people are like, oh, well, I'm not into baseball. You don't have to be into baseball to come to a Fred Nats game. You just have to want to be entertained. Because trust me, we will entertain you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's our general manager and director of in-game entertainment doing a dance with ribbons on top of the dugout.
Yeah.
Or whether it's like a grand slam or, I don't know, some kind of circuit hit by one of our team players or by someone rehabbing down in Fredericksburg. I mean, there's so many different things to see that aren't really about baseball, but about just kind of being in Fredericksburg and wanting to be entertained. So we're trying to be the place to be. You know?
No, and I very much have seen that, especially in the past year.
Trivia. Trivia is a great example too.
Trivia, yeah. There's so many great things they do at the stadium that are growing and growing. Like, yeah, even if you don't like baseball, like, do you like trivia? Do you like nachos? Do you like beer? Do you like the special themes they're coming up with?
Do you want to run the bases after a game on Thursday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come and run the bases.
Run the bases. There's the what's the one coming up this Saturday?
Margaritaville.
Margaritaville.
Yeah.
Come on now. We love that.
R.I.P.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, so much great stuff happening at the stadium. And next gen, obviously, we love baseball too. We would love to, continue working with the Fred Nats more and more and more. And we've talked with your GM about how he's mentioned getting younger people at the stadium and third season baseball usually being slower. But like, I hear so much more about the stadium and games and programs now more than ever. So it seems like this year is going to be a big one. And
Yeah.
Are we halfway through?
We are halfway through as of the end of today's game, I believe.
And for those listening, this was recorded on June 19th.
Happy Juneteenth, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Juneteenth. You might be hearing this in July. Who knows? But absolutely. So yeah, like we want to continue and work there. And, you know, it's a great place for anyone to meet, but especially young people as well.
Yeah, maybe we should do an event at the stadium.
We would love to. We would love to do that. Speaking of special events, we have a lot of ideas and things that we want to accomplish this year with Next Gen. And Skyla is on our advisory council as our events like specialist, which mostly means she helps me organize a lot of this stuff or make sure I am organized. She doesn't work for us at all. She just gives advice, but she gives the best advice.
I'm advising.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple ideas that we're going to try to see through. Skyla, what are some cool ideas we've been floating around?
I think my favorite one is the cornhole tournament.
Yeah.
People love their cornhole. They love it. And I think that's a good way to get people out, and it's a very like relaxed way to either whatever we're trying to do for the event, whether it's educate or just get people out and aware of the group Next Gen and all that kind of stuff. I think that is a great way to do that. And it's also a fun and an easy and a relaxed way to do it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very approachable sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at the news, everyone's talking about like big new sports that are rising and approachable. Usually it's like pickleball. Cornhole's always been around, and so is pickleball, I guess. But those are the two sports that come to mind for me. And like, I definitely want to do one that is very good for networking and talking with people and having a good time. It's competitive, but it's not too competitive. I mean, it's non-contact, hopefully. It's cornhole, so.
I would love to come up with, I haven't come up with like the complete idea yet. It's just like a little bug in my ear at the moment, but like some kind of speed dating with the cornhole.
Speed dating okay.
Like, it doesn't have to be speed dating, but some kind of like icebreaker, like get to know you speed dating kind of thing with the cornhole.
Wait,
like,
that's such a good idea.
We do that first, and then we do the tournament.
Yeah, like, or maybe once you lose, once you're eliminated.
Oh yeah.
You could go over to the cornhole speed dating where you and your teammate, like you just both get to throw one cornhole.
I
and
love
then you
that.
switch.
This is what we do. This is actually just a brainstorming session.
This is an incredible idea. Why haven't I heard about this yet? That's such a good idea because
I literally just thought of it on the spot. So.
Yeah, you throw one cornhole bag and then switch. Boom.
Yeah.
You meet those people and keep going.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea.
Here we go.
Right on. Well, I know a big place with tons of flat surface that we can do this at.
We could.
Yeah,
we could.
Let's do it. The sidewalk's all there. I don't know if you'll let us on the field, but
we can make something happen.
We know a guy.
Yeah.
That would be the perfect place for it. Other special events we've considered. I mean, that's the big one. We've talked about doing some like evening, like soiree events or some lunches where we get to hear from speakers. Like one thing we really want to accomplish this year, and I know that Skyla's passionate about too, is like we want to equip our young professionals. And coming to 505 is great, but we're not necessarily teaching you anything.
Mm-hmm.
You still will learn something. Everybody you meet anywhere at any time can teach you something, but it's not a sit-down formal lunch. So we do want to hear from some speakers, and some topics we floated around were how to network, personal finance, budgeting, office life, building your career up, like
work culture.
Yeah,
all
work
those
culture.
Things. Yeah.
There's a lot of good ideas we've floated around there. And if you're listening, we would love to hear, like, what do you want to hear about as a young professional? Do you want to hear about, how to network? Do you want to learn public speaking? Whatever it may be, growing your network, working up, time management could be a big one.
LinkedIn is a huge one too. We could do a whole entire thing just on LinkedIn.
I saw recently, I can't remember the stat, but like, I can't remember the number at all, but like LinkedIn's growth in the past 3 years, since COVID, basically, how LinkedIn it's not rivaling Instagram, but it's getting close. There is a ton of users on LinkedIn.
As it should be.
Yeah, and I've seen more and more and more of my friends just using LinkedIn instead of other social media. So
it's a great way to grow your brand. And I think we should write that down. That's another good one too. Growing your brand.
Yeah.
Just in general, you are going to be or in everyone else's eyes as you're perceived, right? So you are what your brand is. And if you don't know what your brand is, then people are going to perceive you as maybe a little bit of a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
unorganized or unfocused, maybe unmotivated.
Yeah, no, 100%. So you have to, if you don't know by now, and I say by now, but like here I am, you need to work on knowing your brand, because if you don't know your brand, you're not going to know like what the next step is either, so it's all part of the funny thing we call life.
Yes. So speaking of growing your brand and what's next in Skyla's professional career? What do you want to accomplish? What are your goals going on right now?
Oh my goodness. I have no idea, truthfully. Here I am saying you need to know your brand and what's next. I have no idea. No, I really want to I want to finish building the foundation for what this department, the events department in the Fredericksburg Nationals is. I want to teach the next person that's going to take my spot how to do it well, because we both work in events, and if you work in events, you can't do it forever. The 90-hour weeks aren't made for everyone,
Yeah.
I got home one day this past weekend. I left well before my husband woke up for the day, and then I got home after he went to bed.
Oh.
So that's just kind of what events does to you.
I hope he made you breakfast.
No.
Adam Flock.
No.
Don't tell him we're talking about this. We'll make sure he listens to the podcast. If you're hearing this, buddy.
This is a true test.
If you don't hear this by the next time we see you, which I think is tonight, we both get to slap you. So
Adam,
you better hear it and stop this.
Blink twice if you're listening. But yeah, I mean, it's a hard industry to be in, and it's a hard industry to stay in. And it's genuinely because it really just takes a big toll on you. Mm-hmm. I would really love to stay in the sports world. I don't know what that's going to bring me. I have a bunch of new things that I want to learn. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for that. But as of right now, I'm just kind of staying put and riding the waves.
Yeah.
What each day brings me.
You're riding the waves very well. I mean, everything's going so well with events there.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to see.
It's a fun time.
Yeah. Well, Skyla, let's both get on with our work days. I know you got a ton of 200 events. I'm sure there's 300 more to go book. And thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Trey. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
This is the best.
Thanks for listening.
Incredible.
So fun.